Hey everybody, this is the Aggressively Medium podcast with Josh.
Episode 117.
117.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aggressively Medium podcast with Josh and Derek.
JD.
JD.
Yeah, I don't know.
JD. Yeah. Like off of Scrubs. JD and Turk.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah.
The main character.
Yeah.
So, if you were listening last week, we talked about mangoes.
Yes.
And how I've never had an actual mango.
Well, today's the day.
Today is the day. And then I'm going to follow it up with some Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot.
I'm excited about this.
I'm not at all. I can taste the heartburn now.
I don't think I'm going to like it.
Oh, it's going to be
But
disgusting.
I'm excited about it. But now we're going to start off with a little mango.
So we got an actual mango.
A real mango.
It looks different than I thought it was going to look. I thought it was going to be more round.
They are very... I'm probably not doing this right.
Don't cut yourself in my home.
Well, you're an
I don't
EMT.
need any more blood in this house.
All right. Let's see here. I may be doing this wrong, but...
Oh, gosh.
All right. Get you a little piece.
That little piece, the biggest piece that's left. Oh, gosh.
That's good mango. What's your verdict?
This doesn't taste anything like artificial mango.
No. But none of the artificial flavors ever taste like the real flavors.
That's true, I guess. But like I was expecting way more flavor.
Okay.
I mean, it's got like a good flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I like the flavor, but it's less potent
Yeah.
than I thought it was going to be. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because like the Coca-Cola that we had last week, just like all up in your face.
Yeah.
And I don't like that flavor, but that's a good flavor. I like that flavor.
So mango's a go.
Mango's a go.
Mango.
Yeah. Mango.
Cool.
Closer to the rind or the flesh, there's a little bit more of that
fake mango.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like that distinct flavor. But
That likes me.
I'm saving myself for this Mountain Dew because I know it's going to just rip me apart.
Oh yeah. It's gonna suck.
We should bring back the. Me and Lee did the where you soda stream stuff.
Really?
And drink it. Did you not hear those?
I vaguely remember.
Like we soda streamed pickle juice and drank it. It was horrible. I drank the whole thing and messed myself up.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I
was
like pickle juice.
It was like as a joke. I was like, oh, this is gross. And then like drank some more. And I was like, oh, gross. And then drank some more. And I couldn't.
So you're just a glutton for
I
punishment.
couldn't sit up straight, dude. It was horrible.
That's funny. Let's crack into these dews.
Yeah.
Let's do the dew.
Do the dew. So Mountain Dew, flaming hot, dew with a blast of heat and citrus. And if you know anything about me, it's that I have horrible acid reflux, and I ran out of
What color
Provol.
is that? It's like a orangish reddish color.
It's like lime wire and Code Red mixed.
It just smells like regular Mountain Dew.
Oh God. You know?
Whoa. There's the heat.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's not spicy, but it is.
I haven't gotten any heat yet. I mean, it's kind of like I kind of feel it like in the back.
Yeah, like in your throat. That's weird. I don't know if I like it.
Carbonated water, fructose, corn syrup, natural flavor, citric acid, gum arabic, sodium benzoate, caffeine, sodium citrate, yellow 5. Dude, there's nothing in here that tells you like why it would be hot.
It's weird because it's like it's got a good flavor, and then when you like, 'cause if you swish it around
It's
your
like
mouth for a minute, and then when you swallow it, there's heat. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like the Joe Rogan flaming pineapple drink.
I don't guess I've seen that.
It's an energy drink. I don't like that.
It's not good.
I don't like that.
It's not bad at first, but
Yeah,
then it
the
gets
flavor's not bad,
quick.
but then the heat thing at the end. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I don't know what's making the heat flavor.
But the Joe Rogan Flaming Joe drink, it's like an energy drink that one of those like Fit Aid. It's not Fit Aid. It's the other one, the one that like does the Navy SEAL give back, like a portion of the proceeds.
I got nothing.
Anyways, it's an energy drink, and he's like, dude, that is not good. Like it lingers. Like it's still in my mouth. The heat.
I'm still feeling that. It's
I don't
not
like
good.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a drink on this podcast that I've liked yet.
I like the last one.
See, how the mango is just, I'm not a fan of the fake mango.
Yeah. But you are a fan of real mango.
Real mango I like. But yeah, it's like a hot pineapple. It's like a spicy pineapple. And it's like, it's that feeling in your mouth times 10.
That that's waking my sinuses up.
It's a very like harsh, and it's almost like it was like they didn't mean to make it that hot, and then they were like, oh, we might as well just call it spicy pineapple. Like it's like a chemical burn too. It's not a like.
It's
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Yeah, that's not good.
Sweet.
Blake, if you're listening to this, go ahead and renew my subscription for my Prilosec, because I'm going to need some after this.
By the way, my kids found out that I am on a podcast now. And I became a celebrity overnight in my own house. So give a shout out. Hey, Caden and Addie. Love you guys.
That's your wife.
Well, she listens to it.
Look, man.
Hey, I love you too. And Henry. And Mom.
And Mom. So this next one's you.
What do we got? Yeah, so we can kind of riff on this a little bit. So we've been doing a little, I've been doing a little thinking about kind of what all I wanted to talk about. And one of the things that you and I both, and a lot of our friends are really involved in is different businesses.
Yeah.
Whether it be like small business or investing or whatever. So I just kind of wanted to talk through, my wife and I are buying, are in the process of buying a couple of rental properties.
How many do you have right now?
So right now we have a duplex. We have my office that we're doing some build out on right now, but it'll have 2 office rental spaces. We're about to close, I think, next week on a house that we're flipping, and then we may end up buying another one in Holt.
So you're trying to buy all the houses in Tuscaloosa.
That's my goal, is to own every house in Tuscaloosa. But no, it's I was talking to another guy who listens to the podcast. Shout out Tyler
Holman.
Tyler Holman, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he just got his first house under contract that he's going to be renting out. So congratulations on that, bud.
Congratulations with a little bit of saltiness behind it, because you really like that house.
And I'm just pumped that he's getting into it. Like, more than
absolutely.
anything. I love seeing that. So, but yeah, so the model that I typically follow is called the BRRRR strategy. And it's where it stands for buy, rehab, rent it out, refinance it, and then repeat.
Yeah.
And basically you buy the house that needs some work. Typically you use a private money lender, so you don't go through a traditional bank. But you do that, you fix it up, and then get it rented out.
Yeah.
I focus a lot on Section 8. It's just guaranteed rent.
Yeah.
And the houses are cheaper, so you're able to get into them a little easier. But then
And typically the difference between the rent of a Section 8 and like a normal house isn't going to be that far off anyway.
It's really not, unless you go to, like, if you were to rent out something in, the wealthiest part of town.
Yeah.
Well, sure. But if you're looking at just like a normal, middle-class family house, it's not that much more. And the fact that you can, but the purchase price on those is a lot more typically. So most of the houses that I look at are, in the $30,000 to $70,000 or $80,000 range.
Yeah.
And they need a lot of work. But then once you're done with it, once you do all the work, you get it rented out. Then you can take it to a bank, a traditional bank, and do a cash out refi on it.
Yeah.
And pull 80% of whatever the new value of the house is. So if you buy a house for, let's just say $50,000, and you put $20,000 worth of work into it. Well, after that, it's likely, let's just say the house now has a value of $140,000.
Yeah.
You could go to a bank and get $112,000 out of it.
Yeah.
So you've borrowed $70,000 from a private money lender. You pay him back, go over here and take out $112,000, whatever the difference is there, you get to keep. And put toward another property.
Which, granted, that would now be in a mortgage on that house.
Yeah.
But
the tenant's paying that for you.
With the tenant's paying that for you. Yeah. And this is one thing that it took me a second to realize too is I heard somebody say one time, this is like a real estate investor guy here in town, and he said, even if you're making $100 per month on a property, it's worth doing.
Yeah.
Because not only, you can't think of it like you're only getting paid $100, because the tenant is putting whatever their rent, the amount of their rent per month into the bank too. And so that's money that is essentially yours now, that's just in the bank. It's just tied up in the house, but you're still like, I mean, if you had somebody renting from you for, $1,000 a month over the course of 12 months, well, that's $12,000 that's now in your bank. I mean, granted, you've still got
the principal of it.
Principal of it.
The interest is
gone, but that's money that you didn't do anything but put money down to get. And so,
and even if you do the burst strategy, you get your money that you put down back within like a few months.
Yeah.
Like as you're refinancing it, so you get that money back. So you're essentially getting rental properties once it's all done for free.
Yeah.
And kind of what you were saying, the tenant pays the mortgage down, so your equity is growing, and then on top of that, now the houses are appreciating like crazy right now, and they have over history. Like if you look, I heard on a podcast sometime. It's called Bigger Pockets Podcast.
Yeah.
So if you're not, if anybody doesn't listen to that, check out the Bigger Pockets Podcast.
He's got a couple of books that are really good too.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good resources on their website, like calculators to help you figure out if a deal is good. But yeah, it's I heard on that podcast one time, somebody said that his parents bought a house in California, and I forget what the numbers were, but it was like for, $50,000 30 years ago. Well, that house just sold for over $500,000. And it's like they literally over 30 years got 10 times their money. And they're projecting that over the next 30 years that it will be even more than a 10X.
Yeah.
And so if you're getting into real estate now, like your tenant's going to pay it down, the principal balance, and then now you own the property, so now your cash flow is even more. Yeah. Because you get all of the rent. Yeah. Minus your, taxes, insurance, maintenance, stuff like that. But then 30 years from now, even if it only doubled in price, you still are doing really, really good. So
yeah. And so the one good thing about real estate stuff too is like, so we say you buy a house for $100,000 in 5 years. Now it's $150,000. When you take that money out, like you gain that money now, that extra whatever it is. If you can turn around and put that into another rental property, then it's untaxed. Like they don't tax those gains until the very, very end when you finally cash out of whatever string of flipped houses or rental houses or whatever that is.
Yeah, and so the house that we're flipping, we are. We're going to do what's called a 1031 exchange. Excuse me, whatever money we make, because the government's going to take. I asked my accountant; he said 27% of whatever our profit is we have to pay in taxes, and so I was like, I don't want to give the government any money, but definitely not that much money if I don't have to. So we're gonna 1031 this money into another property. Yeah, and basically you have to declare that that's what you're going to do before you sell the house. Yeah, and then you have to. I think you have like 60 days to identify your next investment, and then you have to close on it within like 120 days or something like that. but basically, if you do it that way, you don't have to pay taxes.
Yep.
So that's our plan, is to kind of push
Until
it
the
to
very
yeah,
end.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one question that a lot of, and I say a few people have asked me is, well, hey, I really want to get into this, but I don't have any money. How do I get started?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways. YouTube's a great resource on how you can get started with no money down.
Yeah.
I know people who have taken loan out on their car. Like if their car is paid for, you can take a loan out on your car and use that money to buy your first property or
120% of whatever the value of the car is.
Some banks will, yeah. So a lot of them only go up to 100%, but you can do a home equity line of credit. You can borrow money from a family member. Whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can do it.
The ways that I've thought about doing it, if I did it, were like what you're talking about, either taking a loan out on a vehicle that's already paid for. Because like when you think about it, you're like, oh, that's scary. But then, I mean, you're getting the money back within a couple of months. Yeah. If you do the Burr method, like you're talking about. Or just like, you can go to somebody that if you know somebody who's kind of wealthy and you say, hey, I'll give you 10% of whatever you give me, like 10% of the down payment, like add it on. Like once I get this down payment back, you get 10%
on top of it. And
like nobody's going to turn that money. If you have a solid business plan, nobody's going to turn 10% away. 10% return, because it's hard to get anywhere else. So
you're not going to get it at a bank, that's for sure.
No, gosh, no. And that's what I hate savings accounts.
Yeah,
like the word savings account just makes me like, because you're putting it into all right, back up here. Say we put $100 into that savings account last March. Inflation has now risen 12%. I was getting maybe a half a point return on what was in the savings account.
That's average, yeah.
And so I'm getting not even 1%. I'm getting 0.5% on that savings account. So effectively, I've lost $11.50.
You're not even keeping up with inflation.
You're not even keeping up with inflation. And so this is just me. It's like I would rather put that money either in the market somewhere, like the S&P 500 has gained over the course of its lifetime.
Yeah, it's kept up over inflation. Yeah. Like it's done better than inflation.
And so that is better than putting it into.
But I think average inflation over time is like 5% for somewhere around there. So even though we're in an extreme inflationary market right now, so you're losing more money than you normally would, but you're still going to be losing money if you keep it in a savings account.
Absolutely.
And the S&P 500 is you're going to do good there too, and you want to diversify. I'm putting most of my efforts into real estate right now. But I do also, like, I've got a retirement account that I'm putting into and stuff like that. And
it's a big, I looked at, say like my parents, they do not have a retirement. They have no retirement. Like they grew up in that, like, work every day of your life and that'll be the end of it. And so I look at them and I'm like, man, that stinks that there's nothing like set up for them. And like Social Security, they get Social Security, but it is a joke. Yeah. Social Security is nothing. So if you're relying on Social Security at the end of the day, like you need to be putting money into a retirement account for sure. Because if you're relying on Social Security, then you're screwing yourself. Yeah.
And if you, like our plan is to have these rental properties, the cash flow from them, that's going to be our retirement basically. Yeah. And then we're going to pass that on to our kids. Once our kids, once we die, our kids are going to inherit that. And it's all about, for us, it's all about creating financial freedom for generations, not just us. It's not about being rich. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom that, hey, I don't have to go and work a job that I hate. Yeah. Or, hey, if one of my kids feels called to the ministry, now they don't have to worry about money. They can go help plant a church or whatever they want to do. It's all about just having the freedom to do what you want to do what you're passionate about without having to worry about money.
Well, and two, when you think about it, like at the end of your career as whatever, me and my wife were having this discussion the other day because I was talking about some things that I wanted to start investing in once we had some stuff cash flowing for us. And she said something about, she was like, well, most teachers, after they're done teaching, they go back and get like a sub job. And I said,
I've heard of that.
I said, so, and this is what I said. I said, so after 25 years of service or 30 years of service, and you're like, this is it, I'm done. And then you're like, actually, I have to go back. It's like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
No.
Like when I'm done with firefighting,
You're not going to go to a volunteer fire department?
no. And I'm not going to go to another fire department.
Sure.
And start working for them for 10 years so that I can get money in their retirement. When I'm done with my career, I want to be done with my career. I want to have things set up in place where I'm not worried about X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And so that's like the thing that you have to think about too is wherever you're at in your career, people listening, when you're done with that career, how much money will it take to be done with that career? Like if you're done in 25 years, like you cash out your retirement in 25 years, how long will that last you? At what rate will you have to spend? All that stuff. And like you can go to a financial advisor and they'll tell you all that information. But like if you have these things like rental properties or businesses that are running themselves essentially, once you get to that point, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Like you can get to that point now, like within 10 to 15 years where you're not worried about all these things because you've got these residual incomes that are coming in
Yeah.
on top of retirement.
Have you ever heard of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah, I love that book.
Probably my favorite book after
Love
the
that
Bible.
book.
But
Yeah, Robert
Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah. So he actually came up with a board game. It's called the Cash Flow game. And it's kind of expensive. So I was like, I'm not going to buy that. It's like $70, I think, or $80 maybe. And I'm like, that's a lot of money for a board game. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, finally, one day I broke down and bought it, and I'm so glad I did. It's so much fun. It teaches you how to, he calls it the rat race, but like how to get out of your job and have enough. And the whole premise of the game is like you have to build up, like you get a card that tells you what your occupation is, what all your bills are, and all this. And the whole goal of the game is to acquire enough cash flowing assets so that your monthly passive income, your cash flow, is more than your expenses. And once that happens, you can quit your job. And that's how it is in real life too. Like if you have enough things giving you money every month to cover all your expenses, you don't have to work.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing that got me fired up about real estate was I want to be able to, I have a goal that I want to retire when I'm 45. I'm not going to retire when I'm 45.
2 years?
I'm not that old.
Man, this is nice. I can make the old jokes now.
3 years.
That Lee's gone.
No, I'm 36. I want to retire.
Yeah.
I want to be able to retire at 45. I'm not going to retire at 45.
Yeah.
That sounds miserable.
Want to be able to.
But I want to be able to.
Yeah.
And so, and that's just a goal that I've set. I may not be there, but I might be.
A goal is something, though, that like whether or not you attain it, it's something to shoot for.
Right.
And that's another big thing is like, I used to not be about goal setting. I used to not care. I was just like, hey, look, I'm going to get done what needs to get done. But if you can get in your head something that's like, whether it's an attainable goal or an unattainable goal, I like to set attainable goals and then get like work past that, you know? But there's some goals that I've set that are unattainable that it's like, I'm pushing myself to get to this point, and it might not happen in 2 years. It might not happen in 3 years, but like, that's where I want to be.
And even if you don't get it, like you're still better than you are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And don't get, the other thing about like goal setting is don't get bummed out when you don't hit those goals. Just like reassess and then change where the finish line is. Like, I wanted to have 3 rental properties in 2 years. Well, you get to the end of year 2 and you've got 1, but you've got 1 under contract. It's like, okay, well, like in 2 more years, I want to have 3, or 2 more years, I want to have 4.
Yeah.
But don't ever let because that was a big like threshold that I had to cross too. And what helped me with that was Mammoth. I got so good at rejection with Mammoth.
Really?
That like it used to eat me up because you would go to stores or you would call stores or you would meet with stores, and it's just like this just isn't the right fit for us, or like we don't have enough space on our floor right now, or whatever. And it used to just like crush me. But after like the 12th person, it's like, okay, I'll call you back in a month. Or I'll call you back in a year or whatever. I'll see you at this or whatever. And just like still developing those relationships with those people, because like that's ultimately like what's probably going to get you in their store more than like
Absolutely.
the coolness of your product.
All about networking and relationships.
Yeah, because every freaking outdoor clothing brand looks exactly the same. Like there's some that are like kind of go this way and there's some that kind of go this way. But like once you get into those like little break-offs, well, this group looks exactly like this group.
Right.
It's like your clothing doesn't look any cooler than anybody else's. You might have some pretty cool designs, but everybody else has got cool designs too.
Yeah.
So like forming those relationships with those people is like pretty crucial.
That's the biggest part.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part. It is.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good little 20 minutes worth of real estate talk.
Yeah, I love it. And if anybody wants to talk more about that, if anybody's doing the same things we're doing, let us know. We'd love to have you on and talk.
Shoot us a
talk
message on Instagram, or if you've got our numbers, just text us.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about whatever it is the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about learning new types of investments and entrepreneur stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of real estate.
Oh, that was good.
These are the states with the most registered hunters.
All right, hold on. I want to guess.
Okay.
How many are there?
There's 50 states.
Okay. No, I mean, how many are on the list?
There's 50 states.
So it ranks them in order. I thought
yeah.
you were saying it's like
No, yeah.
with the most.
It goes from 50 to 1. Sorry, I should have clarified.
Yeah, I got you. 50 states.
So yeah, this is with a 3 million year record of it. It's safe to say that hunting is one of the oldest forms of human activity. So based on the registered hunters in 2020, from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, states are ranked by percent of residents with hunting license. Okay. Population data is from the census as of 2018. There are 15.2 million hunting license holders in the U.S. So
I'm gonna guess top 5.
Okay, and give me your last one.
Last one?
Who's in last place?
It's got to be New Jersey.
No.
What?
So it's a percentage too. It's percentage of the
percentage
residents.
Of population. Okay.
Percentage of the residents who have hunting license versus the ones that don't.
Is it New York?
No.
I feel like that would be the obvious one. Delaware.
No.
Is it? Am I going to be shocked?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just think it's one you're not thinking of for some reason.
Arizona?
No.
New Mexico?
No.
My goodness.
There's one state that's all the way
Maine?
On this side.
Which side?
And it's just
Maine?
full of liberals.
California?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. California has less than 1%.
That surprises me.
It's 0.7%.
Because Northern California, like the northern half of the state, is not the same as the southern half.
But you got to think about how many people
they
are there.
have a lot of people.
Yeah. So they.
Like I thought that was so obvious. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so 0.7%. And then.
Not even one.
So you're going to go to the top 10?
Yeah. Okay. And it's percent of population.
Percent of population.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not, I was thinking number of hunting licenses.
Okay, we'll start at number 12.
All right, let me throw 5. I want to see if I can get the top 5.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to say.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, top 5. Give them to me.
All right. Not necessarily in this order. I'm going to say Alaska. Is Alaska on that list?
Alaska is.
Are they top 5?
Not in the top 5.
Wow. Okay.
So you got 4 more guesses.
Alabama?
Nope.
Texas?
Nope.
Utah?
Nope.
I suck at this. New Mexico?
No.
I don't know. I just threw that out.
Okay, so number 12 is Alabama.
Okay.
We're number 12, and it says we have 10.3% of our population with paid hunting license. So Alabama hunting is yet another victim of the rise of urbanization, a beloved tradition among older generations. It is not one that's picked up as quickly by the younger ones. According to the Corky Pew of Yellowhammer News, the decline is also driven by changing social trends. Kids prefer virtual games to grandpa's hunting rifle. Another factor is the rising cost of hunting in the state overall. And
It's
then
not cheap.
we'll go, Vermont was number 11 at 10.3%. Maine, 11.5%.
That surprises me.
West Virginia is number 9 with 11.6.
Not surprised by that.
Wisconsin, 11.7. Alaska, number 7, with 12.3%. Oklahoma,
Alaska's only 12.3%.
yeah.
Wow.
Oklahoma, 14.2%. Number 5, Idaho, with
Idaho.
16.5%. Number 4, North Dakota, 17.2%. 3, Montana, 21.1%. 2 is Wyoming, 22.7%.
I should have said Wyoming.
Number
top
1
5.
is South Dakota with 24.1%. Even though South Dakota has the highest percentage of paid hunting license holders per capita, it is still one of the states in the nation struggling with hunting decline. According to the Associated Press, the state sold 26,000 fewer hunting licenses in 2019, which was $1 million revenue loss.
Wow.
Money from hunting sales contributes to half of the budget of the state's Department of Game, Fish, and Wildlife.
Jeez.
So, yeah, South Dakota, you need 26,000 more of you to sign up for a hunting license next year. Which, also, what they were saying with Alabama, it's a very good point, is, the rise in the cost of hunting. And so if I've got private land, I'm not saying I do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying if I have private land,
Mm-hmm.
it's my land.
Mm-hmm.
There's one road in.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
You don't have to have a license.
It's gated. Why am I going to go pay for a license?
You don't have to if it's your own private land.
Yeah. So why am I going to go pay for a license?
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of people.
I think
do
that's
that.
a good portion of Alabama's
Mm-hmm.
because just from knowing people, and I mean honestly, even if it's not your land, if it's your buddy's land,
Yeah. If it's private land, in my mind, you shouldn't. So, game wardens.
oh, if it's public land, I've never hunted on public land a day in my life.
No, me either.
So
So, game wardens have essentially ultimate authority to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I know a guy who said that, I don't remember, somebody was telling him that there was a guy that him and his dad owned some land, and it was actually his dad's house. His dad lived on this land, and he found a game camera on a tree that wasn't his, and he called his son. He's like, "Hey, did you put a game camera on this tree?" He's like, "No, I didn't." He said, "Oh, okay. Well, I took it down. I took it inside." Like a couple days later, the game warden comes, knocks on the door, and demands it back. Game warden had trespassed onto their property,
oh wow,
but legally, because
Yeah.
game warden can do that,
yeah,
and put a camera up and was spying on them.
jeez,
And that's legal
yeah,
because the game warden can do that. Man, they can take your gun.
yeah.
They can do anything.
Have you seen the videos of this is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic? Have you seen the videos of the guys who call the police on the ATF?
Yes, and the dude gets tased.
Yeah,
I cried tears of joy when
so
I saw
funny.
that.
It's so funny.
The guy was being a jerk.
He was. Yeah.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
And he's
I
an
mean,
ATF
and
agent.
anybody who's anybody, if you're smart, you just comply.
Right.
If the police show up,
100%. Especially if
you
they got
comply.
a gun drawn.
That guy, that guy's got a gun drawn on him. He's freaking just still being, you don't know who I am. Check my blah, 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 blah. It's like, you better get down on the ground first.
Mm-hmm.
Even me as a firefighter, granted, I'm not in that role. I'm not going to be like, do you know who I am?
Right.
I'll be like, yes, sir. I'm on the ground.
Absolutely.
Handcuff me, do whatever you want.
Get it sorted out later.
Yeah, kiss me on the mouth. I don't care. Speaking of kissing on the mouth, movie pass is back. Do you remember movie pass?
No.
Oh, Really?
I don't watch movies.
Okay. So MoviePass was a subscription service that you could sign up for, and you paid $10 a month.
Okay.
And you got a little debit card that had MoviePass on the front of it. And every day, MoviePass would credit your account on that movie card for the price of one ticket to a movie theater. So you could watch 30 movies in a month for $10. Like you could go to the movie theater, swipe your card, and watch one movie per day.
That's crazy.
And they went bankrupt.
Of course they did.
They were paying full price for movie tickets. Their business model was going to be, we're selling data. Like, we're going to sell your data to these bigger companies.
Okay.
And it didn't work.
Okay.
Because
They didn't get enough data.
I guess not. But, like, you had people who were, like, casual moviegoers that, like, Movie Pass probably did okay. Mm-hmm. Where they would, like, oh, let's go to the movies, like, once a day or twice a day. But then you had people like me, who at the time was single and didn't have anything else to do. And so I literally went and watched one movie per day. I went and watched movies I did not even have a care in the world about because it's like, well, it's free and it's on the way home. I went and watched
That sounds like
movies.
torture to me.
Dude, I loved it.
I'm so ADD that I can't focus on a movie.
But like, I love movies.
That's cool though.
I love going to the movies too.
So they're back?
They're back. So if you go to, I think it's moviepass.com right now, you can sign up. There's a wait list, and so you can sign up for the wait list. I signed up this morning, and you've got there's 3 or 4 days from today that you can actually sign up for it. But supposedly it's like some of the original owners have came back and was like, hey, look, it was like very poorly managed. It was mismanaged. And so we think we can bring it back and do good again.
Huh.
And so I signed up for it.
That's cool.
But yeah, like towards the end of the Movie Pass, it was getting a little wonky. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't use it as much. You couldn't do as much stuff with it. And so it was like people had a really bad taste in their mouth. And then you were getting charged every month and you couldn't go to a movie. And so then it seemed like it was a fraudulent company. And they were just trying to get some of their, recoup some of their money back. Mm-hmm. And then you couldn't cancel your membership towards the end of it too. They were,
yikes.
Yeah, there was a couple class action lawsuits that came against them.
Over a $10 subscription.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it was $10. It might have been $20. Either way.
How much is it going to be now? Do we know?
They don't say. They hadn't said. They were living in a fantasy world, is what they were living in. To think that business model was gonna succeed, especially paying full price for movie tickets. But it did kind of shape the movie industry a little bit to where some of these major movie theaters started doing their own Movie Pass style subscriptions, so you could pay $10 a month to be in the AMC club or whatever.
So this says on their FAQs, it says, what will the price of the new service be? There will be 3 pricing tiers. Prices will vary depending on each market, but the general prices will be $10, $20, and $30. Each level will get a certain amount of credits to be able to use towards movies each month. More details to come.
Makes sense.
It still wouldn't make sense for me to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think I've been to... In the last, I'm going to say the last 3 years for sure, I've only been to one movie.
When Movie Pass came out, it was a September. And me, and I think it was Lee, we're sitting down talking. And it was like, well, does this even make sense for you to buy? And we went back, just looked at the movies that had came out that year. Mm-hmm. And this was in September. And I had been to 50-something movies.
My gosh.
And
I don't think I've seen 50 movies in my life.
That doesn't include
including
me going and being like, hey, Derek, you want to go watch a movie tonight? And back then, it's I can't really afford it right now. That's fine. I'll pay for you to go because I just don't want to go by myself. And so I would pay for other people's movie tickets. And I was like, I'm losing money not signing up for this Movie Pass thing.
That's crazy.
I just love movies, man.
I don't think I've seen 50 movies in my whole life.
That's wild.
At home or at theater. I don't think I've been to... I bet I would say the over under on the number of times I've been to a movie theater in my life would probably be like 20 or 25 maybe.
Now that we've got kids, the number of movies that we've watched has went exponentially down. But before that, man,
All the time.
all the time. All the time. The only type of movie that I don't like is fantasy movies. So like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
wasn't a fan of those.
I've never seen those. I tried to watch Lord of the Rings.
Game of Thrones, wasn't a fan.
Star Wars. I've never seen Star Wars.
Love Star Wars.
Never seen Star Wars.
Great movies.
And my wife hasn't either.
Really?
Neither one
Y'all
of us
should
have
watch
seen
it
Star Wars.
together.
And at this point, I'm not going to because I mean, I don't care enough. And
They're good movies.
Not many people can say they haven't seen that.
That's true.
I also haven't seen any of the Harry Potters.
Yeah, I don't like Harry Potter either. Fantasy stuff. Not a
It's
fan.
weird.
Speaking of fantasy,
Speaking of fantasy, that was a good segue.
so I've been setting it up for like 5 minutes.
I've been
I said it like
going.
5 minutes ago
Did you
about
really?
something. Yeah, I was like, they're living in a fantasy world if they thought that movie subscription was going to work. Anyways, I saw this video today on fantasy football. This is the type of stuff that I like. Is ridiculous. Like if I ever did fantasy football, it would have to be set up to where whoever loses has like this just ridiculous punishment. It's not a money amount. It's not nothing
Like playing golf
that.
in a dress.
Like playing golf in a dress. Or the video that I saw today was a guy had to stay for 24 hours at a 24/7 all-you-can-eat pancake or a pancake house.
That sounds awful.
For every pancake he ate, he got an hour taken off his time. He ate 8 pancakes.
I don't know, like that
Do you think you could eat more than that or less than that?
over the course of hours more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm like maybe 2 an hour.
yeah, but that's still like, that's not even 2 an hour if you eat 8.
Yeah, no. I think I can
Yeah.
do 2 an hour. And it depends on
Easy.
are they like the real big ones
I think they're just like a.
or are they like the
this
Lego
guy.
size ones?
Like
Okay,
this
so like
guy.
like an IHOP size.
Yeah, I could eat 12. I think.
I mean, it depends. Like over the course of 10 hours.
Well, 12 hours you would only have to eat 12.
Right.
Like 1 an hour for 12 hours.
Yeah, I think I could eat 12 and probably, I'm going to say 8 hours.
12 and 8 hours.
Yeah.
You'd still have some time to spend.
Yeah.
In the IHOP because you wouldn't be at your.
Yeah. And I don't like IHOP. When's the last time you went to IHOP?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
College, probably.
Yeah. We used to go to Ryan's, which was right by
IHOP's
there.
Gross. Yeah, Ryan's is gross too.
Dude, but it was like $7 or $8 and you go get all you could eat good food. Oh, man.
I'm so glad that whole like
Yeah.
buffet style thing has gone away. I mean, Golden Corral is still around, but like
I don't know that I've ever been there.
I've never been to a Golden Corral either. But it's the only one that I can think of that's still around.
Yeah.
And
Except the China buffet. How are they still in business?
I freaking hate Chinese buffets.
My stepdad loves it.
I hate them.
It's gross.
Meg wants to go to one all the time, and I'm like, this. If I want Chinese food, I'm just gonna go get Chinese.
I'm gonna go to Lai. You never been to Lai?
Dude, Lala's gross.
I quit.
Lala's so gross. That's fine. That's worth you leaving my house for.
That's blasphemy.
No,
Like that's mine and
Mr.
Danielle's thing
Chang's?
for sure.
it's good.
I don't know that I've had that.
It's really good. It's up here by Who's Q and Brew. It's really
That's
good.
a good restaurant too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were talking about we should do fantasy football.
So I think we should. I want some feedback from you guys. If you think we should do fantasy football, just me and Josh.
I
In
think
a league.
we should do something more obscure,
Okay, but it's got to be whoever
like
the
fantasy
loser is.
rugby or
Whoever
like
the-
fantasy NASCAR.
Fantasy is that a thing?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
yeah. We used to do it in college. We would do fantasy NASCAR, and we would all like do like a big draft and everything. And every time, nobody checked it. Like it was just like at the end of it, it was like, oh, who won? It was like, I don't know, man. Like.
We did this place I used to work. We did in the office. We did a fantasy football league. It was just me and 2 other guys, and we just kept up with it on a spreadsheet. But
Yeah.
that was so much fun because we checked it. I mean, we were literally looking at it every day. It was fun.
NASCAR had like an app you could use
That's cool.
specific for NASCAR, and we had set it up to where like we had a big spreadsheet with all the drivers in it, and like two people couldn't have the same driver at any time.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. Nobody ever watched it.
Yeah.
It was just
I don't think I
it
ever
was
watched
something to
NASCAR.
do.
Yeah.
That was all it was.
I like it.
You might catch yourself like watching a couple laps or like watching the end of the race and just being like, oh, who won? But
I watched a video. This guy lost his fantasy football league, and so the punishment was he had to wear a dress and a wig to play golf the next time. So they all went and played golf together, and he had to wear a dress and a wig.
I saw a video that was this girl was talking about the way that her dad used to punish them, like for like stuff that they did wrong. And she said one of their punishments was they had to sit down and watch an entire NASCAR race.
Oh my gosh,
I was like, that's a pretty good punishment.
that's a really good punishment.
Pretty good punishment. Like, can't leave. You have to sit here and watch this because you cheated on this test or whatever. Like, man,
That's
pretty
funny.
good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What we got
But
next?
yeah, somebody tell us what we need to do. Fantasy, whatever. If it's fantasy rugby or fantasy golf, or Derek has a video that he's supposed to be pulling up.
I'm trying to get to it. Evidently, it didn't. Okay. So listen to this.
Do you realize if you took Earth with all of its mountains, valleys, and hills and shrunk it down to the size of a cue ball, it would be smoother than any cue ball ever machined? Really? Yes. Yes. Think about it. What? Think about this. Joe. Really? Joe. Everest? Joe. Listen to me. The distance between the lowest point on Earth's surface and the highest point on Earth's surface is 11 miles. That is less than the length of Manhattan. Whoa. Yet we are 8,000 miles in diameter. And those 2 points are very far separated from one another. If you were a cosmic giant and you came up to Earth and you rubbed your finger over Earth's surface, it would feel as smooth as a cue ball to you. Wow. Do you realize if you took Earth...
That's crazy, though.
Yeah. So here's one thing I'll say about this.
Okay.
I used to love Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Uh-huh.
who's the guy in that video.
Right.
And now I hate him.
Why?
I don't. It's just like
It just gets on your nerves.
he gets on my nerves, and like, if you look at some of this stuff, it's not true.
Really?
Like, and I'm not saying that that's not true,
Mhm.
but there's been some stuff that like that he's come out and said, and people are like, "What?" Like that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah.
Like,
He's not a scientist.
nah, a bunch of stuff. It would. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is a oh gosh, what is he? He's like one specific type of scientist.
Physicist.
I think so.
He is.
But he talks about like,
astrophysicist, I think.
but he talks about all this other stuff that like he doesn't know anything about, or like doesn't have a deep understanding of. But yeah, that's crazy because he says 11 miles from the top of the highest mountain to the point of the lowest ocean is only 11 miles.
It's only 11 miles.
That's wild.
Yeah. I just thought that was...
It makes sense, but like in my head, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like, I get what you're saying, but like my brain can't comprehend that makes up that. You know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's all I had on it. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
What's next?
Oh yeah. So this is an article I found that is the number one reason believers leave a church.
Leave a church or the church?
Leave a church.
Okay.
In the course of just a few days, I've had multiple Christian friends who I hadn't seen or heard from in a long time independently reach out and ask the same question. Do you know of a good church where I can go to worship? And so this isn't necessarily people are leaving the faith. It's just people are leaving churches.
Yeah.
Which I guess could be, to some degree, people are leaving
the faith.
The faith also.
Sure.
So I'm trying to skim through this article. As I listened to my friends explain their church dilemma feelings and the thought of the angst my own family has experienced with the same exact thing, I got a small epiphany that I believe explains the problem. True Christians leave a church when they're unable to properly worship God. So the choice of carpet color in a church's foyer or the pastor's clothes selection are the reason I've had people give me as to why they hit the ejector seat on a church. I've bitten my tongue so hard against during those conversations that I've actually drawn blood. But the people pinging me most recently about their church predicament are the antithesis of that kind of spirit. Antithesis of that kind of spirit. Sorry. These folks are solid, mature believers who prioritize God in their lives and aren't ruffled by trivial matters that go on in a local body. For them, it's all about being enabled to submit to God an acceptable form of worship while they're present in an assembly. When that can't happen, the spirit within them demands action. I gotta plug my computer in before it does. Here, you wanna?
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
Like not being able to properly like worship God in whatever aspect that it, not necessarily like, oh, it's a contemporary service or it's a non-contemporary service, but like if I don't feel like I'm getting to like experience God in the way that I want to experience God,
Yeah.
it's not gonna.
Yeah, you're not going to want to stay.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people leave churches because I only know one person who's left a church over something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they weren't getting fed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I see people leave a church, it's because like either the pastor changed, like they got a new pastor, or you know, stuff like that, where it's like, you know, it's more of a leadership change and they just don't jive with the new leader, whatever it is. I've seen a lot of that. Like when, you know, I saw a lot of people leave when Pastor Jimmy left Highlands.
Yeah.
So
We had a lot of those.
it happens a lot.
This says, while the juvenile come to church for what they can get, mature believers attend for what they want to give, which is true worship to God. When they're disabled in that pursuit, they'll seek a different setting. The reason, as John MacArthur explains, is that worship is not an addendum to life. Worship is at the core of life. It wells up and is something that cannot be denied, as it's something that cannot be denied expression. So it makes sense. I mean, if I feel like I can't truly like worship God, then like, I mean, I don't know if I've ever been to churches that necessarily believe that way, or like that I like walked in and I was like, I can't worship God here, because it's like I'm gonna do whatever I want to do,
Right.
What I, like if I feel the
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, though, it's look at the most successful churches. They all have an opportunity for you to serve, basically. Like if you look at all the churches, and Highlands is a good example of that, but it's definitely not the only one. But you know, if I'm able to go in and serve, like I'm fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah.
You know, that's really where I am. I'm the most fulfilled there. And so that's really where I think you're going to see a lot of churches succeed. And especially because it's becoming so popular, because when we were kids, they didn't really have that. I mean, the women would serve in the nursery,
Yeah.
you know, but that was about it. Like that's the only type of serving I ever saw, other than deacons, you know, But like now you've got like with Highlands, we do dream teamers, and we've got dream teamers that
Do everything.
And it's not like, it's like Pastor Chris says, it's like we don't have a need for anymore, but we need you. Like we want to see you fulfill your purpose, walk out your purpose. And that's, I think that's why Highlands and churches that do the same thing are so successful, because they're giving people an opportunity to walk out their purpose. And so if somebody's not getting fulfilled in that way and they leave that specific church because of that, go where you're fulfilled for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like in business too. If you don't give your workers some sort of like buy-in that like you matter here and you're doing like meaningful work, then like why would I stay?
Right.
And so I definitely agree with that. And
which is something I think newer for our generation. I think it started with millennials that wanted purpose in work, because the Gen Xers and especially baby boomers, they were all like, you get a job at a factory or wherever and you work there for 20 to 30 years and you don't leave. And now, like, if somebody's been in a job for more than 5 years, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, dude, you're a senior man here.
Yeah, like it's just not the same. And it's the same but it's because they want to be fulfilled in their purpose. Like and I think people are starting to realize that. And I think social media's got a lot to do with that. Because they're able to see a lot more of what's out there. Yeah. Back when baby boomers were working, it's not like they didn't. You didn't know
you could go to Wisconsin and get
you
double the
missing.
pay.
Yeah, you didn't know what you're missing. So
makes sense.
Yeah. All right, I gotta know what this next one is.
Oh well, this is we ain't got enough time.
We don't have time.
No.
Oh, what are we at?
56 minutes right now.
Oh man.
It's nothing. So we'll talk about it next week for sure.
Okay. Teaser.
And it's there's nothing that I can think of. It was just I saw a video the other day that was just, I just thought it'd be like a cool, like, what's the best gift you've given your wife?
Oh, okay.
So we can talk about that next week.
Let's do it.
You've got a really good one, I know, that like I've heard one time, and if that's not the one, then I'll have to ask you about that one too. Okay. But yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for letting us into your places.
In your places.
And your places.
And your butts.
And your butts.
Ah.